In Lesson 24, we are going to be introduced to the concept of percentages. A percent means per 100. We can write a percent as a fraction with a denominator of 100. For example, 40% means 40 per 100 and can be written as 40 over 100. Today we're going to be solving some percentage problems in which we're going to use equal fractions. If you look at the top of this piece here, it shows us how those equal fractions are going to work. So we always have a percent out of 100. So anytime you're given a percent, you place that number on top of 100. And then the part is going to go over a total. Okay, so let's say we said there's in the room 3 out of the 5 people are girls. That's 3 girls as the part and 5 as the total. Let's look at some examples to see how this works. So example 1 says there are 20 girls in the cafeteria. 8 of them are wearing glasses. What percent of the girls are wearing glasses? Okay, so we've got 20 girls in the cafeteria. 8 of them are wearing glasses. So the 20 girls in the cafeteria represents our total number of girls in the cafeteria. 8 of them are wearing glasses. 8 wearing glasses is our part. Okay, 8 is part of the 20 total girls. What percent of the girls are wearing glasses? So anytime you're asked to find a percent, so if it says what percent, that means you do not know the percent yet. So you have to figure that out based on the equal fractions. So since 8 is our part, I'm going to put that on top of the 20 girls. Okay. I usually sometimes actually label my fractions first. So I've got number with glasses over the total, and that's going to be equal to the percent with glasses over 100. So some things to notice in our equal fractions, I'm going to have a number of something match up with a percent of that same thing. So in this case, I have a number of glasses that matches with a percent of glasses. My total is always going to be across from 100. Okay? So in this case, I've got 8 wearing glasses, and I've got 20 total. So that's going to be across from my percent wearing glasses. Again, notice glasses here, glasses here. My percent should match my number. And across from my total should go 100. Percent should always be over 100. So using the idea of equal fractions, to get from 20 to 100, I multiply by 5. So that means I'll do 8 times 5 to get my percent, which would be 40%. Okay, let's look at another example. Okay, example 2, and I'm just going to put my part over total equals percent over 100 up at the top to help me remember. So in example 2, it says there are 9 pencils in the drawer. There are 6 pens in the drawer. What percent of the writing utensils are pencils? So I'm looking for the percent that are pencils. So I'm going to fill in my equal fractions. If I'm looking for the percent pencils, that means across from percent pencils, I should have number pencils. Okay, again, you have a number of something that matches with the same exact percent. So number pencils, percent pencils. Percent always goes over 100. 100 always goes across from total. So reading back into the problem, I'm given the number of pencils. That's 9. I'm not given the total number of utensils in the drawer. So to figure out the total number of utensils in the drawer, I'm going to have to take the number of pencils and take the number of pens and add them together. So 9 pencils plus 6 pens tells me that there is a total of 15 utensils in the drawer. So for my total, I'm going to use 15. In other words, 9 out of the 15 utensils are pencils. Okay, and across, I'll be finding my percent. I'm going to take off pencils for right now just because I know it's going to match, and that goes over 100. So if I go to do this problem, and I'm going to take out my calculator, and if I go to see what I'm multiplying 15 by to get 100 divided by 15 gives me this big long repeating decimal. Now, I'm not going to be able to use a repeating decimal to help me solve this problem. If that occurs where the two numbers that you have filled in can't go into each other equally and you get this big long crazy decimal, that means you should probably look at the filled in fraction. So I'm going to look at the 9 over 15. 9 over 15 is not in simplest form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull to the side and I'm going to put it in simplest form by dividing both the numerator and the denominator by 3. So 9/15 is the same thing as 3/5. So I'm going to replace the 9/15 in my equal fractions with 3/5. Okay, and it's still going to be the percent over 100 on the other side. That stays the same. So now 5 can go into 100 20 times. So I'll do 3 times 20 and get a percentage of 60%. So what's important in this problem is we had to do some math to find our total first, and we also had to simplify our fraction because the two numbers that were across from each other did not work out equally when we divided them. We got a big long repeating decimal. Now if you just get a quick decimal like a 6.5, you can work with 6.5. But if you get a long repeating decimal, you're going to want to try and simplify first. Okay, in our next example, it says there were 400 students at the school dance. 250 of them bought their ticket at the door. What percent of the students bought their ticket at the door? So in this case, I am being given a total. There were 400 students at the dance. That's our total. I am being given a part. 250 bought their ticket at the door. So that's my part. And I'm looking for the percent who bought their ticket at the door. Something else to note that's really important, if your part and your percent that you're looking for match, then you're really good to go, as we'll see today. We're going to look at what happens when they don't match in another lesson. So right now, I'm going to have the number at door I'm just going to put. In my equal fractions, the number at the door should be across from the percent at the door. Same units, at door, number versus percent. Percent always goes over 100. 100 should always be across from the total. Okay, so now I can fill in my numbers. The number that bought them at the door was 250. The total number of students at the school dance was 400. And I'm going to use that information to find the percent. To go from 400 to 100, I'm dividing by 4, larger number to smaller number, so we're dividing, which means I'm going to do 250 divided by 4 to get my percentage. So 250 divided by 4 is equal to 62.5%. So if it doesn't tell you to round, I would leave it at 62.5%. Sometimes, though, it may ask you to round to the nearest percent, and that's when you take the 5 and use that to round to the nearest whole number. But in this case, it didn't, so I'm just going to leave it at 62.5. Okay, so in exercise 4, it says that Lainey got 16 out of 18 questions right on her quiz. What percent did she get correct? Round your answer to the nearest percent. And here's one where it's telling us to round to the nearest percent. So in this case, it says 16 out of 18 questions right on her quiz. That means that the out of 18, 18 is our total, and 16 would be how many she got right. It's asking me to find the percent correct, which is the same thing as right. So I'm going to put number correct over total equal percent correct. Again, notice number correct, percent correct, over 100. Okay, so the number correct is 16. The total is 18, and I'm going to put percent over 100. If I go to divide this, 100 divided by 18, I get a big, long repeating decimal, which tells me I'm going to want to look at this fraction and try and simplify it. So to the side, I'm going to simplify this by dividing both of these by 2, which gives me 8/9. So I'm going to replace the 16/18 with 8/9 and set it up equal this way. So now what I'm going to do is 100 divided by 9. And again, I get this big, long decimal. Since I'm in simplest form, I'm going to work with this big, long decimal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that decimal as is. I'm not changing anything about it. I'm just writing it as it's written. I'm going to leave it in my calculator, so I'm not changing my calculator. And I'm going to take that big, long decimal as is in my calculator, and I'm going to multiply it by 8. Okay, and that's going to give me my percent. Notice in the directions it said to round your answer to the nearest percent. So I'm going to take my 88 that comes before the decimal up here, and I'm going to go 1 digit past that. Okay, you just need 1 past the decimal point to round to the nearest percent. This 8 tells this 8 to go up, and it becomes 89%. Okay, so be careful if it asks you to round, because sometimes you may need to round your answers. And also go all the way down to simplest form, and then if you're still getting that crazy repeating decimal, use it as is and round your answer.